The IFSP process can be viewed and in reality happens in many different ways. The diversity of children and families, differences in systems responsible for implementing Part H, and a variety of other factors directly impact how the process happens and what the process looks like for any individual child and family. To provide a common framework for discussing the IFSP process, let's look at the process as including 11 landmarks. Each of these landmarks represents a key part of the process. Identification, referral, first contacts, evaluation and assessment planning, child evaluation and assessment, identifying family concerns, priorities, and resources, development of outcomes, initial IFSP meeting, implementation of the IFSP, review and evaluation of the IFSP, development of a transition plan. There is real risk in looking at these landmarks as a list, in that they appear to be sequential, one following logically after another. We know in reality that this is not how the process happens. Frequently, a child will have had multiple evaluations and assessments before ever being referred to the early intervention program. Many of the landmarks are not one-time events, but ongoing parts of the process. One of the strengths of the IFSP process is its flexibility. Flexibility to adapt to the unique strengths and needs of each child, as well as to the concerns and priorities of every family. Although the landmarks are addressed in the film in the sequence described here, keep in mind how the sequence can differ with every child and family. Awareness of a developmental delay or disability, or even that there may be reason for concern, is a first step toward possible involvement with early intervention and an IFSP process. Family awareness of a delayed disability or concern happens in a variety of ways. Sometimes at a child's regular checkup with a pediatrician. Either parent or practitioner may raise a concern. Often a family member, neighbor, or friend, even a stranger, will bring something to the family's attention. Some families know before their child is born or soon after of a disability or reason for concern. Service providers who are involved with families during this early step in the process must be sensitive to the uncertainties, concerns, and emotions that family members can experience during this time. Use of family-centered approaches from the beginning is critical. Sharing of complete and unbiased information, including acknowledgement of what may be unknown, can be very helpful to families during identification. Referral of a child to the designated point of entry for a state or local early intervention system begins the involvement of the child and family in the Part H early intervention system. While referrals come from a variety of sources, including hospital staff, local physicians, community screening programs, social service programs, and often from families themselves, best practice in early intervention means using some family-centered approaches in making referrals. Families should determine how and when the referral is made. Families should be given the option to refer themselves or to request that someone else make the referral, and should be supported in whichever approach they choose. Complete and unbiased information should be shared with families in a timely and a supportive manner. Referrals should be timely, balancing the requirement of the law to make the referral within 2 days of identifying a suspected delay with the family's choices and the child's status. Families should be asked to share only information that is necessary to begin the referral. Traditionally, the aim of first contacts has been to gather preliminary information in order to make initial eligibility determination, sometimes placing program or system needs before family concerns and priorities. A family-centered approach emphasizes different aims. If family preferences and priorities are to shape the IFSP process, then these preferences and priorities must be identified as early as possible. Identifying families' agendas for themselves and their children often begins during these first contacts between family members and program staff. Family choices for involvement and information sharing are often part of these early meetings. Other factors can also strongly influence first contacts, such as the family's culture or ethnicity, how the family defines itself, and how the family views intervention by someone outside the family or outside its cultural group. Watch the vignette that follows closely for what goes wrong in the first contacts between the service coordinator and family. As you watch, identify when and how family-centered approaches are not being used, and what the impact may be on the potential relationship between service providers and family members.
Hello?
Yes, hi, is this Ms. Ramirez? Hi, my name is Sandra Satcher. I'm a service coordinator with the Early Intervention Program. I just wanted to schedule some time for me to go to your house and talk to you about your daughter and about the services that Early Intervention offers. Is there a good time that will be convenient for me to go to your house? I guess it will just take like half an hour or so.
Well, it'll have to be after my older son leaves for school.
What about Wednesday, 9 a.m.? Your son must be gone by then, and I have another appointment around your area.
Well, okay. I guess I'll see you then. Okay, goodbye. Oh, hi. Come in. I'm sorry about this mess. We're just finishing up with Sarah's breakfast.
¿Cómo está?
Bien, gracias. I'm
Where are you
fine.
from? Don't tell me. You're from Peru.
No.
I'm from Puerto Rico myself, but I've been living here since I was this tall, so I consider myself an American. Oh, this looks like a great table. Let's move these things here. Let's put all the paperwork here. There are a lot of forms that I need you to complete. Also, there's some information I need to get from your daughter, your family, etc.
Is this going to take very long or what?
Oh no, it won't take long. We just get the basic information.
The process of building a collaborative partnership that is based on mutual trust and respect begins with first contacts. Actions that convey disrespect or mistrust can damage the potential relationship and hinder a family-centered IFSP process. The following vignette demonstrates how one service provider used some family-centered approaches to change her first contacts with an individual family.
Hello?
Yes, hi. Is this Ms. Ramirez? Yes, my name's Sandra Satcher. I'm with Early Start. We work with the Early Intervention Program that you called to refer your daughter, Sarah. Is it a good time for me to talk to you?
Well, I guess it's okay. My daughter is taking a nap right now. Go ahead.
Okay, just let me know if you need to go, because I can always call you back when it's a good time for you. Do you have by any chance a pen and paper handy? I can give you my name and phone number just in case that Sarah wakes up. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, my name is Sandra Satcher and my number is 530-9200. Okay, just let me tell you a little bit about who I am and the reason why I'm calling. Like I said before, I work with a program called Early Start, and we work with children who have disabilities and developmental delays between the ages of birth and 3. We were given your name from the local early intervention program. The information given to us isn't a lot, but all I have is that a Miss Roy called to say that there was some concern about Sarah's hearing and talking, and that Sarah is about 10 months old.
Right. Mrs. Royd is my husband's mother. We were talking about that she thinks Sarah might have a hearing problem, but I guess she went ahead and called anyway.
Okay, that helps us understand a little bit. Do you feel ready to talk to me about Sarah and the early intervention program?
Well, I guess every child is different, but my son was talking before he was 1. Everything else with Sarah seems to be fine. We talked with our pediatrician about having her hearing tested. Does your program does hearing tests?
I can help you identify some places that do. Where I work is one possibility, but there are others that you might want to consider. I called today just to introduce myself and to see if we could arrange a meeting. Do you want to do that?
Yes. When can you see me? I assume we'll be coming to your office?
We can meet anywhere that's good for you. It can be your home, it can be a park, it can be at the library. It doesn't have to be at my office. Is there a time or a place that will be good for you?
Well, it'll have to be after my son leaves for school. But then Sarah has breakfast, and usually she takes a nap. Sometimes, perhaps after her naps, we usually go to the park. The one by Jefferson, do you know it? Okay, will that be okay?
Okay, that's great then. At what time? Is there a day that's better than another? Okay, this Thursday at 10:30. That will be fine. I think it's supposed to be sunny, it's supposed to be warm. Do you want to meet by the playground so Sarah has a place to play while we talk?
Okay, that will be fine. And you can't miss us. Sarah has a favorite straw hat she always wears to the park. Okay, we'll see you then. Goodbye.
If families are to be the driving force behind how the IFSP process happens, then family choices for involvement in information sharing must be discussed and respected. A family's preferences for how an early intervention program will become involved in its life will affect all other aspects of the IFSP process. Since there are many cultural styles, values, and family structures in American society, it is necessary to ask who are the important players in a family's life and what are preferences for involvement. Providing the family with and asking the family for initial information also requires thoughtful preparation and good communication skills. Using a conversational approach with open-ended questions that focus on strengths rather than starting off with weaknesses can also begin building a mutually respectful and trusting partnership between service providers and families.
Ms. Ramirez?
Hi, you must be Sandra. Nice
Yes.
meeting you.
This is a gorgeous park.
Oh,
Do you live around here?
Yes, just a few blocks that away. It's a very nice walk with a stroller.
Oh, is that Sarah and Miss Roy?
Yes, we're so lucky that my husband's parents live so close by. Sometimes, however, it's a mixed blessing. I wish they could live just a little bit farther apart, but Sarah really loves to play with her grandmother.
Does your family also live close by?
Oh, no, unfortunately, they all still live in Paraguay. We do try to see them every 2 or 3 years, but it's very difficult with the children, you know.
Oh, I bet. My family still lives in Puerto Rico. We don't have any children anyway. By the way, were you raised here? Because your English is very good.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I was an exchange student a few years ago. That's how I met my husband.
Oh, will you prefer to speak in English or Spanish?
Oh, English will be fine. It's funny how after so many years you tend to forget words in your own language. It's really funny, so English will be fine.
That's very true. That happens to me sometimes too. Let's talk about Sarah. She appears to be very happy. Is she around 10 months old?
Yes, 10 months yesterday, as a matter of fact. She's doing really well, except she's not saying anything. I mean, she cries like all babies do, but she doesn't really babble like her older brother did at 1. When we went for her 4-month checkup, the doctor didn't seem to worry about it very much. But then during her 6-month and her 9-month checkup, he suggested that we should get in touch with early intervention program. And we were just talking about it as a family when my mother-in-law went ahead and called. But what really concerned me about her is that the other day I dropped a glass vase and she didn't even react to it. After that, I began to notice little clues, like she only reacts when she sees me. She doesn't really seem to have any reaction to any other situation. And so I guess that's why we called you. I'm sorry I was rude to you over the telephone the other day.
Oh,
Lo siento.
Don't worry about it. I brought some information here on the early intervention program. I also have a list of places to take Sarah to have her hearing tested. We might also want Sarah to have a speech and language assessment.
Okay.
if Sarah is tested and she does have a speech or hearing deficit, then we can talk about options and possibilities of services. But for now, let's just focus and get some tests arranged.
That sounds good. I've been so scared about this whole situation. She's so healthy otherwise. I thought everything will be okay. For my family back at home, this kind of thing is really bad. I think here children with problems like this are pretty well accepted. But that's not always true in Paraguay. I think my family will accept it okay, but, well, I guess we may lose some of our language, but we never can get away from our culture, can we?
I think that's true. There seem to be some similarities between Puerto Rico and Paraguay. Maybe after we're done with the test, we can think what will be helpful for you and your family.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Roy. I'm Miriam's mother-in-law.
Oh, hi. I'm Sandra Satcher. I'm a service coordinator from Early Start. We are associated with the Early Intervention Program.
Don't you think that she should go on and get her hearing tested? I think that the sooner we know, the better off it'll be, even though I know it'll be hard for everybody.
It shows that you really love Sarah. I'm not a hearing specialist, but after listening to Miriam, it shows that the first step should be to have Sarah's hearing tested and then go from there.
Okay. Miriam, if you need any help, just give me a call. I'll do whatever we need to do as far as Alex is concerned, okay, while you're getting the test and what have you.
Okay, Miriam, Miss Roy, look over the information that I gave you, and when you have the time, just call me to arrange the test and maybe talk about other things that probably we didn't have a chance to talk about today. Okay?
Okay.
I'll just leave the information here for you.
Well, it was nice meeting you.
It was really nice to meet you.
Hasta luego. Mucho gusto.
Igual, mucho gusto.
Muchas gracias
Cuídese.
por haber venido.
De nada.
Hasta luego.
Cuídese.
Please stop the tape for discussion of other family-centered approaches you might have used in the past or that you might want to try in the future during first contacts with families. Evaluation and assessment planning is essential to a family-centered IFSP process. The purpose of this landmark is for family and staff, the IFSP team, to plan an evaluation and assessment process that addresses family priorities and concerns related to the child's development. Evaluation and assessment planning is a continuation of the same kind of information sharing that takes place during first contacts, but the information is more directly focused on the upcoming child evaluation or assessment. Child evaluation and assessment have very specific goals within the IFSP process. Evaluation is conducted to determine initial and ongoing eligibility for services under Part H. Assessment is conducted to identify each child's unique strengths and needs. Since these strengths and needs are continually changing, assessment is a continuing, evolving process, rather than a discrete activity that can be initiated and completed at a single point in time. The conduct of both evaluation and assessment must be shaped by family priorities and information needs, as well as by child characteristics and diagnostic concerns. These considerations create a critical need for ongoing and open information sharing amongst all members of the team throughout the conduct of evaluation and assessment. Options for location, who is involved and what roles they play, what procedures will be used, and how results should be shared should all be negotiated amongst team members, with the understanding by all team members that family preferences, values, and styles of decision-making must be respected and honored. Identifying family concerns, priorities, and resources is an ongoing part of the IFSP that complements all other aspects of the process. Part H refers to a family-directed assessment, not as an assessment that happens to or is done on a family. Rather, it is a collaborative activity between family members and service providers to identify family concerns, priorities, and resources for their child or for themselves related to their child's development. The concerns, priorities, and resources for a family in a rural area may differ significantly from those of families in urban or suburban settings. Watch the next vignette for what can happen to relationship building and information sharing when family-centered approaches are not consistently used.
Hey,
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Lisa.
I was just getting the mail. Pete and Grandpa are on up at the work shed. I got the baby down for a nap. Why don't you head on up? I'll join you in a minute.
I'll see you up there.
All right. See ya.
Hey, Steve, how you doing today?
Good, Pete. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, too. Hope you don't mind meeting out here. We're sort of in the middle of something, and since the baby's down for a nap, we'll be able to hear her out here, too.
So you think it's okay to meet here?
Yeah, it'll be great. Thanks.
Hi, Jean. How are you?
Well, Lisa, I'm okay. Hey, listen, I don't mean to be nosy, but this gentleman's been here a few times now. I mean, is everything okay?
It's okay. Megan's going to have to go in for some surgery, but I think things are going to work out. You know, we might need to ask for a little bit of help from you and Paul, though.
You let us know anything we can do. Me, Paul, the rest of us.
Thanks, Jean. See ya.
That's right.
Hi, Steve. Glad to see you made it up the drive.
Hi, Lisa.
So, Steve, what is it we're going to talk about today?
How long is this going to take? We got work to do around here.
Dad, Steve's here to help us out with Megan. You behave yourself.
Well, we talked about Megan's surgery and the arrangements. Lisa, I know you said your pediatrician and the surgeon described what the hospital will be like, the times, and what to expect after surgery. We talked about Megan probably needing some follow-up care also at the hospital, and then some physical therapy after the surgery for a while, maybe some other services too. What I need to do now with the two of you, since some of these are early intervention services and Megan's eligible for the early intervention program, is as part of this IFSP we talked about, I want to get a sense of what are your concerns, your priorities, and your resource needs. I've got these questionnaires that I think are real helpful in doing this, identifying your resources, priorities, and needs. In fact, I brought enough for everyone.
Okay.
There's one for you, one for you. I even brought one for you, Mr. Griffin. It might give us a good sense of what kinds of help you need. So, Pete, why don't you and I go ahead and fill these out?
I better go check on Megan.
Okay. See you, hon. Steve, you want to know what's really got me concerned here? This surgery's going to cost a lot. Not to mention the follow-up care, the therapy and such. We've got a little insurance we buy as part of a cooperative with some of the other farm families in the area. But that's not going to go so far. Does this early intervention program pay for any of these services?
Well, Pete, it depends. It gets kind of complicated. But one thing I wanted to suggest to you is that you might want to consider applying for SSI. I mean, even if you qualify for just $1 of SSI, in most states, that automatically qualifies you for medical assistance. And right there, that would cover all or a lot of the medical bills for Megan.
Well, Steve, you know, we're not one of those families really looking for a government handout or anything like that.
Darn right we're not.
Yeah.
I'll be a dog full of fleas before somebody in my family take a government handout.
Yeah.
Well, we've been farming in this place.
Hey, what's all this ruckus about?
While a number of useful checklists and questionnaires have been developed to assist families, these written measures should only be used when and in ways that the family chooses. A variety of strategies based on listening and talking with families, such as interviews, conversations, chats, storytelling, and brainstorming, are not only effective in gathering information, but build a rapport between families and service providers. Using these techniques helps to establish an atmosphere of trust and mutuality. Watch the next vignette for what can happen to relationship building and information sharing when some family-centered approaches are used for identifying family concerns, priorities, and resources.
How long is this going to take? We got work to do around here.
Dad, Steve's here to help us out with Megan. You behave yourself.
You know, Mr. Griffin, growing up in a military family, never really had a chance to learn much about farming. But there's one thing I really liked, and that was when we had the chance to go down to my grandfather's farm in Virginia. Boy, they couldn't get me off that tractor at harvest time.
Is that right? Well, maybe you can give us a hand later. You know, Pete here never has gotten the hang of driving a tractor.
Huh. Well, that sounds good, Mr. Griffin, but maybe another time. Pete, to answer your question, I imagine you and your family have a lot of things on your mind. I know the surgeon and pediatrician gave you a lot of information, but I wanted to check to see if you had any questions or concerns. And Mr. Griffin, you tell me when it's time to go, because I don't want to take up much of your time.
As far as the surgery goes, we've talked all about it, except, of course, how we're going to pay for it. I mean, with Lisa, you having to take care of Megan, come out here and do some of the farm work, and then with trips to the to therapy and whatnot, and then if we have to make constant trips down to the doctor's office, I just don't know how we can do it.
You know, we get a lot of help from Mom and Dad. They help us out an awful lot, and we're going to be able to call on our friends and folks from the church. They've always come through for us, too. But when it comes to things like paying the medical bills and making those trips back and forth to the city, I agree with Pete. I just don't know how we're going to do it.
I understand. Both of you seem really concerned about the medical expenses and the aftercare cost, as well as the possibility of making frequent trips down to the city and back. Do you mind if I write some of this down? It's really important.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I have extra paper if you'd like to take notes also.
No, thanks. Go ahead. We trust you.
Okay. I just can't trust my memory anymore. So, we have 3 concerns that we've discussed, and let me just write them down. Are there any other concerns on your mind? And Mr. Griffin, you tell me if you have any concerns, because I'd like to know what you think about this whole situation.
This is kind of related, but I mean, if we're going to have to be making a lot of trips back and forth to the city, we've just got the one car in the pickup, and the car we use all the time, and frankly, I don't think the pickup would get us back and forth. I better go check on Megan.
Okay, Lisa. Steve, what about transportation to the medical center? Is that available somehow?
You mind if we wait for Lisa?
That's fine. In fact, why don't we just have a seat? If you don't mind sitting in a bale of hay.
No, that sounds fine.
There you go. That's for
So,
you.
Mr. Griffin, what did you plant this year?
You mean you're going to take me up on my offer to drive my tractor later?
I might.
You got a good pair of sturdy hands, huh?
Dad, I think you should put him to work with the cows.
The cows?
Hey, what's your ruckus about?
We're just talking about putting Steve to work.
Actually, we were waiting for you to come back so we could talk about the concern you have with transportation and any other concerns. Is Megan okay?
Yeah, she's fine, just stirred in her sleep, I guess, but thanks for waiting. I guess the 2 things that I'm most concerned about are the transportation and the medical bills, because, you know, we've got plenty of help to help me out taking care of Megan, what with my mom and Jean and other friends and the folks at church. I think we've got that under cover. But, you know, when it comes to the medical bills, we've only got so much insurance and so much money, and frequent trips into the city, that's going to do us in.
Yeah, I think so too, Steve.
Let me throw out a couple of options for you to think about. One is we check with your insurance company to see what they will cover, the limits, and how much you'd have to pay for the different services. The other option is we check into therapy services in the area and the payment options. Some places have what are called sliding fee scales, where you pay according to how much you make. I have some information about it back at the office. When I get back, I'll give you a call.
You know, I think the Greens boy got some physical therapy up at the school after his accident. Would that be a possibility?
That's a really good idea, Lisa. Would you like to contact the school about those services?
Yeah, I can, but I'm not really sure what to ask.
Well, I could give you some suggestions, but most times I think it's best if the parent be the first one to contact the school or another program.
Okay, Steve, but what about the money? I mean, I really like your idea about checking out the insurance and the sliding scales, but I think out here we're kind of limited to the number of services we have. Besides, the farm does really well, but Dad, wouldn't you agree that after we pay for the equipment and supplies and whatnot, that the farm doesn't really make that much of a profit?
Something you might want to think about is applying for SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income. In most states, if you're eligible even for $1, you qualify for medical assistance, which could pay for all or a lot of Megan's medical expenses.
Steve, are you suggesting me and my family take some kind of government handout?
Okay, Dad, I don't want to take any government handouts either, but I think the point is that Steve's given us some options that might really help.
You don't have to decide on it now. Just think about it. I could get you some applications and information that you could read over. Would that help, Mr. Griffin?
Well, Dad's not much of a reader, but Pete and I will take a look at it and talk it over with Mom and Dad, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, we will.
Mr. Griffin, here's a brochure that might fit your needs. It talks about supplemental security income and has an 800 number that you can call for information and to apply, and there's nothing to lose by applying, right? And I can help you if you like.
Yeah, I guess I could call this number. Well, we got to get back to work. Enough talking.
Well, I'm sorry I won't get the chance to ride the tractor today, Mr. Griffin. Are we okay with the discussion we had? I feel there's some loose ends we need to tie up.
How about one of us calling you about some of those options you brought up?
Sounds good, but I don't want to lose sight of the concerns you brought up either. And I think I have a good sense about your priorities in terms of the money and transportation issues. And it sounds like you have a lot of resources here by way of family and friends. Before I go, I want to leave you some information. Here, I have some questionnaires that other families have found helpful in prioritizing and identifying their needs, both formally and informally.
Okay.
I think you might find these helpful, and why don't you look them over?
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Well, Dad and I will probably save our questions for you, Steve, but Pete, he goes for this kind of thing.
I'll check on the service and payment questions and give you a call tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock.
How about 8 o'clock? By then, Megan should be asleep, and that way both of us can talk to you.
Right.
That's fine. I'll talk to you then. Mr. Griffin, next time I'll take you up on that tractor offer. Pete, I don't know about those cows.
Okay, Steve. Thanks a lot.
It must be remembered that inclusion of family information on the IFSP is voluntary on the part of families. Families may initially be hesitant to place information on the table for discussion, which they feel is private or not relevant to their infants' or toddlers' development. A family need or concern is only a need or concern if the family perceives it as such. And service providers should offer a broad array of options to families as to how they can work through determining their concerns, priorities, and resources. This process must not be an end unto itself, but be a significant driving force in the IFSP process, contributing directly to the development of outcomes, strategies, and activities, and the identification of services to help families achieve the things they want from early intervention for their children and themselves. Please stop the tape for discussion of other family-centered approaches you might have used in the past or that you might want to try in the future for assisting families in identifying their concerns, priorities, and resources.